break down your career and sort of maybe explain how each and every step of the way, these major steps that you have taken, and how have those steps sort of provided you with the knowledge and confidence, actually, most importantly, to now helm this position?
Mm-hmm. I would say at every step of the way, and I tell this story, I was given a job that I was not qualified to do. I mean, and I had to find out how to do it. So my first job after I transitioned from my acting career was to be the director of development at the Schubert Performing Arts Center in New Haven, where I was for 2 years before I went to Long Wharf Theater, where I held the same position, and then also did marketing, director of marketing there. I did both development and marketing. And in that first time, I think people saw in me someone who was curious and knew how to ask questions and knew what she didn't know. The most important thing is to admit when you don't know something and seek out how to, that it's truly the sign of a leader, someone who can stop someone and say, I don't really understand what you just said there. It's not a sign of weakness. And I think I've always loved asking that sort of basic question and learning. And so as a director of development, I was a very good writer. I knew how to write grant proposals, but being a development director, you have to do sponsorship and annual giving, et cetera. So I read, I found colleagues. I used my talents to create systems and to be curious enough to know, so that I could then advance to being, I went from a presenting theater house to a producing theater house. Obviously, as someone who was an actor, I wanted to be where things were being rehearsed and costumes were being made. And I was a part of a very historic regional theater. And same thing, having colleagues, people who do my job in other places who I can pick up the phone and say, I don't know how to do this. Can you help? And being that kind of reciprocal mentor or support to other people in our profession, I think that has been key. So I really got the job at Long Wharf because I knew development, and I taught it to myself in 2 years. And I don't say that with I say that with great humility, that it was pretty terrifying. But I did learn enough to raise money, so I had a track record by the time I was a candidate for the Long Wharf job. And then in the case of Wesleyan, a multidisciplinary art center, 11 buildings, a contemporary art gallery, 2 concert halls, a theater. And I had a meeting with the president, Doug Bennett, who was a major mentor of mine. And when I said, what does success look like in 5 years? He said, I don't know. You have to tell us. And the idea that someone would have faith in my vision and I could formulate what that could be after 12 years of being a support to someone else was the kind of confidence, that gave me a platform. And again, I was quiet a lot. I listened a lot. I asked questions. I learned from history. I was a history major in college. So, I care deeply about lessons that can be taught, through history. So then in the case of Jacob's Pillow, because I had this deep bench in dance, I was absolutely a candidate. But the other candidates, I was told afterwards, were solely dance focused. And I was a pretty unusual candidate coming from a multidisciplinary center, but I do think that it is sort of the complications that and the provocations of what could dance do vis-a-vis other disciplines that made me perhaps more future leaning in my thinking. And I guess that's sort of why, one of the reasons why I may have landed this position. But I think the lesson there is just understand what you don't know and find out, and trust your innate gifts in an interview and try to show them who you are, so that they can say, what would it be like to work with this person? I think I'd like to do that. Even though this person doesn't have X, Y, and Z, I do think they're the kind of person I want to, be around. And I think that's probably how I've gotten where I am.